am I audible to everyone? Sandeep, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Actually, I just introduced two of you, but I guess I was not audible at that time. I just realized that.
You are audible. You are audible.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Actually, I just introduced it, both your speakers, but I guess nobody else heard that except me. So I'll do that again. So first speaker for today's session is Mr. Shandip Kashyap Das, who is an Munsif cum Judicial Magistrate, first class. He is presently posted at Bokakhat, and he has joined the Assam Judicial Service in the year 2014. He has a bachelor degree in law from the Center for Judicial Studies, Dibrugarh University. Then he also holds an LLM degree from the Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. And I welcome him for today's webinar. And we do hope to have a wonderful time together. Then the second speaker for today's session is Ms. Pranami Datta. She is also Munsif number 1 at presently posted at Kamrup Metropolitan Guwahati. She also holds an LLB degree from the Center for Judicial Studies, Dibrugarh University, and Masters of Law from Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. She joined the service, Assam Judicial Service, in the year 2016, presently posted at Guwahati. So I again welcome both of you for today's session, today's webinar. Now, before the speakers start, I just want to clarify a few things. Now, see, the theme of today's webinar is on the preparation for Assam Judicial Service. But the thing is that, like in the Judicial Service, we all know that I think some of the participants, they are yet to mute their microphones. So I'll muting them. Kindly stay muted, or otherwise the sounds will echo and it create disturbance during the conversations. Okay. Only the speakers can unmute themselves. Sandeep and Pranami are
Yes, sir, it is done.
unmuted, and rest will remain in the muted position. What I was saying is that today's session is on the preparation for the Assam Judicial Service, but we all know that there are lots of subjects that comes in the Assam Judicial Service. Around 7 to 8 subjects are there, so it is not possible we have time till 8:30. So like within this short period of time, discussing each and every subject in detail is not possible. So what I would like to request the speakers is that they will share their experiences as like how they have prepared. If they want to share certain tips with the students about how to study, how to prepare notes, etc. And more importantly is the interview process, because like the subjects, all of us, I think, in a position to complete the on his own. So like but the interview is such a phase that we don't know much about the interview process. It is only the interview and the interviewee, which happens within the four walls of a room, gets to know what happens inside the room, what kind of an interview, what kind of questions are being asked during the interviews. So these sort of things I would request the speakers to, if they can, to just share their experiences. So with that, and at the end of the session, because 8:30 we have time, so like I would request the speakers to finish off by like somewhere around 8:10. Around 8:10. So like the last 20 minutes we'll have, so that the participants, if they want to ask any questions, they can ask. They just have to unmute themselves and ask the questions. So that's one thing. And before that, they will have to raise their hands. So one by one, I will unmute them. Or otherwise, the second option is there is a chat box you can see on the screen. On the chat box, you can type your questions. On the chat box, you can type your questions, and the speakers will select the questions, because perhaps maybe within the 20 minutes also, because we are having around, right now we are having around 88 participants. So if everybody starts asking questions, 88 questions within 20 minutes won't be possible. So you can type your questions in the chat box. The speakers will select a few and try to answer them within those 20 minutes. Will it be okay? I think that will be okay, I guess. Sandeep?
Yes, sir. So one query I have,
Yeah,
the
please.
PowerPoint presentation is not visible in my screen.
No, I
Uh,
haven't done it.
she will have to share just 1 minute. Now, Pranami can share it.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Is
think
it
it is now visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everybody can share. See now, I think I'll hand over the stage to Sandeep and Pranami. You two can carry on now.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Sandeep Kashyap Das. Presently, I'm working as Munsif cum Judicial Magistrate, Bukakhat.
And hello, everyone. I'm Pranami Datta, and thank you, sir, for introducing us. And we're here to share our experience. So we just hope that it is of little help you prepare for your judicial services. Over to you, Sandeep.
Today, we will share with you our experience as to how to prepare for judicial services examination with special emphasis on the Assam Judicial Services examination. Now, before we start the topic, both of us would like to tell you that whatever we are here for is only to share how we prepared and what our strategy was. Well, there is no fixed formula for cracking any examination, and Assam Judicial Service is no exception. So what I would like to suggest you that just pick up the strategy and planning that suits you the most. Nevertheless, we will try to give you a clear picture of what lies ahead of you. Now, when we talk about preparation and when we talk about examination, the entire journey from preparation till completion of examination is a long one. And in order to make you understand in a simplest way, we have summarized everything with a PowerPoint presentation. So in the screen, you must have noticed one question: why judicial services? Now, first of all, I would like to ask you to question yourself. Do you aim to be a judicial officer or do you aim to be a judge? Do you think this is the right profession for you? Whether this job will suit you? Now, this is the correct stage where you can question yourself over and over again. If you still feel the desire, then go for it. I am sure you will succeed. But however, if nothing clicks or if you don't find any answer, then there are probably other professions better suited for you. Now, one has to be very clear of what the service actual is and what it demands from a judicial officer. In other words, you need to know the pros and cons of this service. After all the hard work, you would not want to repent having made the choice in the first place. Now, what I want to emphasize is that you should not attempt the examination merely to secure a government job. Even if you crack the examination, it won't help you in the long run, irrespective of the perks which this job offers. I am sure you will agree with me that in any service, job satisfaction is important. If you do not have any interest on the activities which this job demands, then you won't survive for long. On the contrary, if you have interest and if you are passionate enough, then I think you should go for it. With this short note, I would ask Pranami to explain the next slide.
Okay, so I couldn't have agreed more with Sandeep whenever he just it is very important that you know what the job is before you are actually preparing for it. So what do you expect when you're in the judicial service? So yes, it is a very lucrative job and it does change your life completely and for good. But with all the perks that it has a lot of responsibilities. So like, yes, like any other government job, it gives you a job security. You are sound on the financial side and you can actually settle in with this job. But yes, again, it has its own share of challenges. And yes, you have to keep in mind that as well. So the best part I feel about this job is the independent work culture. And both Sandeep and Assam Judiciary has got a very independent work culture. Now, we cannot be telling you about the other judicial services because we would not know what goes on the inside. But talking about Assam Judicial Services, yes, we can vouch for it. You get no pressure from your seniors, no superior authorities for that matter. So when you are a court, you are an independent court. So when you have issues resolved, you whatever you believe in. So there is nobody telling you to do this or that. Now, for example, if you have a judgment and if you want to convict a person, there will be no person who will come and tell you that no, you cannot convict, you should give acquittal or you should give bail. But having said that, your decisions have to be in conformity with the principles of law. So if you go contrary to the law, of course, your senior will call you and they will point that out. But otherwise, it has got a very independent work culture, and that is the best thing about it. Again, as judicial officers, it is important that you know that you become a judicial officer 24/7. So even after you return home after your working hours, you still need to act in a way so that the dignity of your job remains intact. So you almost in a constant surveillance, and if there is a slight compromise on your integrity, that is surely going to land you in a suspension and a termination probably. So apart from that, otherwise it's a very good job. And the third point is my personal favorite. So that is putting the theory into practice. Now, it happened to me that all this while I was studying in my graduation, in my post-graduation, or while I was preparing for judiciary, everything that I had learned, it suddenly came alive. It was like right in front of my eyes. Now, for example, we have all read Article 22 of the Constitution of India. So when I was in Nagaon, and the first person who was arrested and brought in front of me, it was a different feeling altogether. I get the checklist from the police where I see when this person was arrested, and I see whether it was within 24 hours. We all know that according to Article 22, it is an accused is to be produced within 24 hours. So I think he is produced within 24 hours. I make sure I ask him that if your family members know about your arrest. I ask him if you are represented by an advocate, to which he said that yes, my family members would arrange an advocate for me. So these are something which I had already read as a theory, and these suddenly came alive, and it was like practice. I was doing it. So that was a very positive thing about it. Then lastly, I would say is the scope for research. Now, there would be a lot of you who have a keen interest on research and might be wondering if you end up in this job, you can actually okay, so anyway, if you end up in this job, you can also carry out with your research work. So while you do that, actually how it helps is you get to write judgments, and that is a major chunk of your work as a judicial officer. So while doing that, you can very well put in research to practice, and it will improve for sure. So with that, I guess you know about the job as such, and so we'll proceed further. Over to you.
Thank you, Pranami. Well, when we talk about judicial services examination, then it basically comes down to two types. First is the lower judicial services examination, and next is the higher judicial services examination. Now, when we talk about lower judicial service examination, if you clear the examination, then you will be directly appointed as munsif or civil judge junior division to handle the civil side, or judicial magistrate first class to handle the criminal side, or you may be given both the powers. On the other hand, if you clear higher judicial services examination, then you will be directly appointed as additional district and sessions judge. Now, the entire scheme is available in Article 233 and 234 of the Constitution of India, which I'm sure you must have studied in your law school. In today's presentation, we will deal basically with the lower judicial services examination, as you could appear in this examination once you have completed your graduation in law. On the other hand, for higher judicial services examination, besides the other criteria, you need to practice as an advocate for 7 years. We thought that it is important for you all to know this information because most of us have the notion that only after graduation you need to appear only for, or you can appear only for the lower judicial services examination, but it is not the case. Even if you practice for 7 to 10 years, and after that, if you think that you should become a judge, then the doors are open for you always, and you can appear in higher judicial service examination. If you clear it, then you will become a judicial officer of grade 1. So with this, I would like to ask Pranami to explain the next slide.
Okay, coming to the next slide. We are actually trying to give you a very holistic approach of the examination. So about this you might be aware of, but still we're including it for the benefit of everyone present here. So firstly, it is to say that no, there are no fixed number of attempts for this examination. So the only bar is the age and qualification. There is no fixed number of attempts that are there. So we do hope, however, that you get through the first attempt itself. Speaking of which, Sandeep and I, we both had cleared this examination on our very first attempt. And so both of us, we can actually tell you that it is not an it becomes very easy. So coming back to the slide, the only bar which is there is the age. So for the ST/ST category, it is 43, and for all the other categories, it is 38. So this is the higher age, and you must not have completed the above age as on the last age, which is fixed for the receipt of applications. Now, apart from that, the minimum qualification that is required is a graduation in law. So once you are a graduate, you can appear for this exam. Now, this is also a reason why we both believe that you should start preparing while you are in your graduation, while you are an undergraduate, so that by the time you are done with your graduation, you do become an eligible candidate for this examination. So there's no point starting your preparation from that point. So by the time you are done with your graduation, you should be ready with your preparation, so that if a notification comes out, you can sit for it and you are very well ready for it. Now, coming to the next point, that do you need to practice in order to appear for this examination? No, you do not need to appear, you do not need to practice as an advocate. We both did not practice, neither did we appear in the bar exam. So this is just a personal choice. You can do if you wish to, but the exam does not ask for it as a prerequisite.
Thank you, Pranami. Next, I am sure that the eligibility criteria for appearing in this examination is clear to you all. Next, let us move to the scheme of this examination. Well, when we talk about scheme for this examination, it is no different to any other competitive examination. You need to pass through these 3 stages. The first is the preliminary examination or the screening test. The candidates who will secure 60% or more marks will be eligible to appear in the mains examination. However, there is one criteria, the ratio on the basis of which the candidates will be called is 1:10, which means that for every 1 post, 10 candidates will be called for the Viva. Now, if you clear this stage, then you have to face Viva or personal interview. And again, there is one criteria. The ratio on the basis of which the candidates will be called is 1:3, which means that for every 1 post, 3 candidates will be called. Now, we will tell you in details how to prepare for these stages, both prior to examination and on the day of examination. Thank you. Now over to Pranami.
Okay, so the first hurdle that you're going to face is the preliminary examination. And as you must be well aware about it, it is an examination where there are multiple questions and you get to answer in an OMR sheet. So probably you would agree to me that you need to be extra cautious whenever OMR sheet. So if any wrong answer and you try to undo it, that might actually result in the disqualification of the entire paper. So we have to be very careful in this first hurdle that we have. In the syllabus, we have 8 law subjects, as you can see in the screen. Apart from that, we have general knowledge, we have aptitude, we have English, and we have Assamese. Now, the Assamese paper carries 10 marks, the questions carry 10 marks, and the rest carry 90 marks, bringing it to a total of 100 marks, for which you get 2 hours. And again, you need to be very careful while answering these questions. Yes, okay, Sunny.
Thank you, Pranami. Well, after the first hurdle, the second hurdle which you will face is the mains examination. Now, in this examination, if you ask me about the question pattern, then I would say that the question pattern keeps changing. But basically, subjective questions are asked here. Now, as per the last year question pattern, I have seen that questions ranging from 1 mark to 6 marks were asked. Now, you will get a better idea of the question papers once you download the question papers of mains examination. If you ask me about the schedule, then I am of the opinion that the schedule to appear in this examination is very hectic, as it goes on for 3 days continuously. On the first day, you need to appear for your English subject on the first half and general knowledge on the second half for 100 marks each. And for each of those papers, you will be allotted 3 hours. And immediately on the second day, you need to appear not only for 1 law subject, but for 4 law subjects on the first half, and which appears on the screen. And it carries 100 marks, and you will be allotted 3 hours. So once you have completed these 4 subjects from 9 to 12, then again in the second half, you need to appear for 4 law subjects where marks and the allotted time is similar. Now, finally, immediately on the third day, you need to appear for the official language paper, that is Assamese, which carries 50 marks, and you will be allotted only 2 hours to complete the paper. So as you can see that you need to appear not only for 1 paper, but for 11 papers for 3 consecutive days. No doubt the schedule is hectic, as I have already stated, but if you prepare in advance, then I'm sure that you can overcome these stages smoothly. Thank you.
Okay, so the third hurdle is the Viva voce, or the personal interview. And okay, so this is something which is subjective, but yes, we are trying to give an experience to you. And so this is according to what we had experienced and the set pattern that has been followed. And we just hope that the pattern doesn't change. So normally what happens is there is a panel of 3 sitting judges of the Honorable Guwahati High Court. And all the 3 judges have 50 marks each at their disposal. So all the 3 judges will give you a score on a scale of 50, and the average of the 3 scores will be what you will obtain in the personal interview. Now, the questions which are asked are broadly divided into law-based questions and personality-based questions. And so we will deal with the strategy, how to prepare with it in the coming slides. But this is just the scheme of the paper that you need to face.
Thank you, Pranami. Now let us come to the strategy. Now, in the upcoming slides, we will tell you as to how you should prepare yourself, or what should be your strategy in the examination hall. Now, first of all, you need to have a right frame of mind on that particular day. It is everything about how you spend those hours in the examination hall. Now, starting from the preliminary examination, as it was already mentioned by Pranami, that you will have 2 hours to finish your paper. So like any other examination, according to me, the first basic criteria is to read all the questions carefully. Because unless and until you read the questions, you will not be able to answer. In most of the cases, we tend to commit mistakes only because of the fact that we don't read the questions properly and make silly mistakes. And later on, we realize that we could have we could have fetched that mark properly. Now, if you ask me whether we are required to answer the question right from question number 1 to question number 10, then my answer will be no. It is not at all necessary to answer the questions serially. It can be solved category wise. Now, when I say category wise, it means that there are many categories of questions will come. Some will be from law, some will be from Assamese. Now, if you think that you are good in Assamese, Assamese will carry 10 marks in prelims examination, so go for it. You tick the correct option and secure the marks. Or if you think that you are good in law subject, then you start solving the law questions. So what my idea is that it will help you to boost your energy. I would like to emphasize on the fact that do not waste your time over questions which you do not know the answer. Attempt only those questions you are 100% sure. on the first round. Once you have done that, then make a second attempt for the questions in which you find yourself little bit confused. So give a little bit of thought, apply reasoning, and I am sure you will be able to answer it correctly. Now, once it is done, go for the questions in which you have no idea at all. I'm sure it happens with everyone that in question paper, we don't get all the question paper common. Some of the questions we know 101% that this is the correct answer. Some of the questions we have doubt 50-50 chances are there that this might be the correct answer. And in some set of questions, we do not have any idea at all. We tend to think that all the options are correct. So if you face such a situation, what I would advise you not to leave those questions unanswered, because in Assam Judicial Service, there are no negative markings. Therefore, derive the answer and make a sensible guess. Do not waste time in those questions prior to answering the ones you are sure of. Now, my idea is that a negative start can bring down your confidence. So you should gain the momentum and start with the easiest ones for you. Now, if you ask me what is how much I should get to clear the exam, then I would advise you to aim for 100 out of 100, because it is almost like mathematics. If you correct the answer, if you write correctly, then I don't think so that any examiner would deduct your marks. They can't make you to 0.5. So you should aim for 100 out of 100. And don't think that merely scoring 60% is good enough to pass you through, because that is being the qualifying percentage. So you don't think that if I get 60%, then I will pass. Nowadays, the competition is so high that even if you score above 80, it might not be sufficient, as many students might score the same marks. So in that case, it becomes difficult to get to the next stage easily. Now, if you ask me that what is the cutoff marks in preliminary examination, to that I don't have any answer, because the cutoff marks in prelims varies year to year. Therefore, I am sure that if you try to attempt the questions in the manner in which we have suggested, you will be able to clear your examination with flying colors. Thank you.
Okay, so just like the preliminary examination, even for the mains examination, you must have a strategy. So when I say that, you have to use your time very wisely. Now, for example, if you have like 1 hour at your disposal, and if you have 3 long questions to be answered, for example, so you give 20 minutes of those answers. So what you're doing is you're giving equal importance to all the 3 answers. So if you write a very beautiful answer for the first question, and then you end up writing only bullet points in a haste for the third one, that won't fetch you good marks, and that won't give a very good impression to the reader. So it is always said that you do not need to write very long answers in judiciary. So they just want to know your knowledge in law. They don't want your literature there. So even if you are very good in the language, the ornamental language will not fetch you much marks if you are weak in the law points. So be very strong with the law points. Read the question, be very clear of what is being asked. Make your answers crisp, make your answers to the point. Now, it so happens that in certain areas, if you have studied something a lot, and if the same question comes up, we tend to know a lot about one topic. So, for example, if you know any topic for that matter, if you know that completely, you know the illustrations, you know a lot of case laws, 5 to 6 case laws. If you go on writing everything, you leave very less time for the rest of the answers. So limit yourself to 20 minutes. When you see that you are about to complete 20 minutes, complete your answer, give a conclusion to it, and stop writing that answer. And so what you're doing is you're avoiding the irrelevant points. Beating about the bush will not fetch you marks in judiciary for sure. So you have to know what is relevant to that particular question, and you have to write answers to the questions which is asked for. Now, what we had actually decided, this is something that we both follow. This is the IBC formula, that is the introduction, body, and the conclusion formula for every answer. So for every long answer, which is this is only for the questions which are like of 4, 5, or 6 marks questions that come up in the mains examination. This is not for the 1 or 2 mark questions. So there has to be an introduction, whether be it for like 2 sentences or 3 sentences, but there has to be an introduction. It becomes so welcoming, and it immediately attracts the attention of the reader. So whenever you are asked to write about a particular topic, you need to have an introduction. Now the body should contain the answer in its complete form. So for example, if you are asked to write a short note or culpable homicide amounting to murder, then all the things like your ingredients, your exceptions, 2 or 3 case laws, the important ones, yes, they can come in the body. But remember, when you do that, if you're writing probably the ingredient, you can just explain it in a single sentence, because in any way the heading is going to give the idea that yes, you know the answer. So you should not be elaborating on each of those points, making it irrelevant later. Then again, coming to case laws, you can just add probably a landmark case or a recent case law if you feel that there has been a change in the legal interpretation. But apart from that, if you know 5 or 6 judgments, there's no point writing it. So the body will actually have your entire answer. Then once you're done, you're happy with your answer, do not just jump onto the next answer or the next question. There has to be a conclusion. There's like every article that one writes, your answer should have a conclusion. Now, why we say that? It is because that will give a very depth to your answers in your main examination. It will appear to the exam that you were not in a haste, you were calm, you had all the time to prepare your answer, you had all the time to think about the answer, and then but remember, this is not possible in an examination hall with all the pressure that you have of appearing for so many subjects. There is need for notes coming. So when you actually have notes for every other topic or broadly for broad topics, what happens is it is very rare that you skip a topic, and then you can actually manage to pinch in a lot of points into a particular sentence. So it is very rare that you'll leave aside a relevant point when you have notes in hand, and we will stress on it again and again in the coming slides for sure. But that is the basic idea of writing a long answer. It should have an introduction, it should have a body, and it should have a conclusion. Having said that, yes, you might now be aware that yes, time management is the key to it. And you have to, while doing this formula, while writing a perfect answer, you will have to keep in mind the time limit that you have, and you have to shine within that time frame. So over to the next slide.
Thank you, Pranami. I'm sure this is one area each one of you would be interested in, just to know what is it like to be inside a room for personal interview. And Dipam also emphasized to elaborate on this particular topic. Now the question arises how to face Viva voice or personal interview. Now, in our case, irrespective of our preparation, I hope Pranami would also agree with me that we did get scared when we went to that Viva room. Now, the question arises as to why this happens. This is because of the uncertainty it holds. We are least aware as to what the panelists will judge us for, what type of questions they will ask. And for this very reason, we will tell you as to how to face Viva voice or personal interview in general and our experience in particular. Now, as in the previous slides, Pranami already informed you that generally in the panel, you have to face 3 sitting judges of Honorable Guwahati High Court. Look, and keep that in mind that Viva is not only about giving correct answers to the questions asked. The panelist will also determine whether you have got the personality to be the judge or judicial officer. So for this reason, first of all, you should keep in mind, and I would suggest you to come in formals on the day of your interview rather than a fancy wear. Now, everyone is well aware about a formal wear. as such, I will describe the same in details. Secondly, you need to learn basic interview etiquettes. Now, once your name is called by the panelist, you should seek their permission to enter the room. So once you enter the room, you will find 3 judges sitting in front of you, and you will find an empty chair. So don't just go and sit in the chair. Take the seat only when you are asked to do so. Look, uh, I think that there is no hard and fast rule that all the honorable judges will ask you questions one after another. Any of them may ask you, whatever they feel like. Now, this does not mean that you should interact or maintain eye contact only with the one who has been asking you questions. Don't forget the fact that there are other 2 judges sitting in the same room listening to your answers. Therefore, what I suggest is that while answering to your question, you must also maintain eye contact with all of them. It will give them the impression that yes, you are answering to all of them. I am sure that you are getting my point. The idea is that they should not feel ignored, that they have not, since they have not asked you any questions, so you are not giving them any importance. And in the previous slides, we have been telling you that in Viva, normally personality-based questions are asked and law-based questions are asked. Now, when I say personality-based question, what does it mean? Let me tell you my experience. During my Viva, one of the honorable judges asked me, describe yourself in 2 minutes. Now, even though the answer is quite simple, as you need to answer about yourself, isn't it? But during that particular stipulated time, you need to confine your answer reflecting those aspects which gives the other person, that is the honorable judge, a rough idea about who you are. It is the answer and the manner in which you have answered will matter. Now, some other possible questions which are common during interview is that why judiciary? Why you want to become a judicial officer and not any other profession, including advocacy? Because advocacy is also a good profession. And in law, if you are from the law firm, then you can join any other job. Then why you have come to join the judicial services? This is one of the most common questions. Again, they may ask you that you know about the fact that there are many public restrictions, there are restrictions on social life, there are many protocols in judicial service. So in spite of knowing everything, why do you wish to join this profession? Now, regarding the answer to all these questions, there is no straitjacket formula that you need to answer in this particular way. But what you suggest is that you should take a balanced approach while answering those questions. Now, don't just say that you want to become a judicial officer right from your childhood, because unless and until you have that background, it will be a bogus answer. So it is only when you have rough idea about the profession, then only you can think of becoming one. Now, and also be aware of what you say about yourself, as it may attract further questions on that particular field. So when you prepare such questions, think of other related questions which might be asked to you. Now, this is in short about personality-based questions. Now, let us move to the law-based questions. When I say law-based questions, it can be any questions of law or current affairs or application of law in practical situation. And during that interview, they might ask you, how would you decide under given circumstances? So what I have noticed is that the candidates who appeared in the Viva straight after the law graduations are often asked more of personality-based questions. The candidates having practiced in law as advocate, and they are often asked law-based questions depending upon the criminal or civil background they have worked upon. So they are frequently asked one common question, that why do you want to join judiciary leaving the practice, and why do you want to leave your practice and come to judicial services? Another important thing which I would like to add here is that it is not possible for everyone to know everything. It is a common truth. There is a possibility that you may not know the answer to a particular question. If such situation arises, then don't just think over it. Don't just try to guess the answer, because if you do that, then it will waste time of everyone, especially the panelists. So reply in a polite manner that you are not aware about it. Now, it will save the time of the panelists and they will be able to move to the next question. So If you ask me about the duration of the interview, then I would say in my case, it lasted for 15 to 20 minutes, maximum 20 minutes, or it may increase also depending upon your answers and also depending upon the mood of the panelist. And once it is done, then don't just leave the room. Don't forget to wish the panelists before leaving the room. It is everything about etiquettes and not about the answers, because they will judge your personality during those 20 minutes. And I think Pranami will also add about her experience on the Viva voice or her personal interview.
Yes, definitely. I would also like to share my experience. So, when I had faced my personal interview, so again, there were a panel of 3 judges, and of course, 2 of them had asked me questions. One remained silent all throughout. And the first question I remember, which I was asked, was because I did belong to a teaching profession prior to joining judiciary. So I was asked, why would I want to leave the teaching profession and then come into judiciary and leave the company of innocent students and be in midst of criminals? So again, along with that, I was also asked, why would you want to join judiciary? So my answer was something that I had already shared with you. I actually was honest with them, and I told them that I did a lot of theory, a lot of provisions, and I'm very thrilled about the fact that I can actually use those provisions in my daily life, in practice. And it gives me a really nice feeling that, when a dispute between 2 parties, you can actually go into the evidence and bring and resolve the issue and bring the dispute to an end. So these were my answers. I cannot say if it was correct or it was wrong, but that is how I had approached it. And apart from that, I was also given 2 different circumstances, and I was asked to decide how would I, what judgment will I give. So one was a set of criminal circumstances of a criminal case, and the other was a circumstance of a civil case. So the whole point of asking that question was the standard of proof. They actually wanted to know the standard of proof. So for the criminal, it was, of course, proof beyond reasonable doubt, and for a civil case, it was preponderance of probability. So these are the kind of questions that I faced among various others. My interview went on for a good 20 to 25 minutes, but again, it's again your personality which is being judged. So anyway, moving on to the next slide. Yes, we have this subject English, and again, there is no set syllabus to cover it because anything and everything can come under this. But what we tried to do was we looked into the previous year question papers, how we prepared, and we tried to bring in about a generalization of what are the general things which do come up for the English paper. So normally we have an essay on a general or a current topic, and this is for the mains examination. And for the mains as well as the prelims, we have synonyms and antonyms. We have translations where you are asked to translate from a sentence to an English one. We have word meanings. We have phrases and idioms where you are asked to write the meaning or put them into a sentence. You're asked to correct the sentences. You're asked to select words with the correct spelling, arrange jumbled sentences, and comparisons. But again, precis writing is again confined only to the mains examination. Now, considering that can be any of them, how do you prepare for it since it does not have a set syllabus? So what we would suggest is that you should have a strong base of grammar. So now how do you need to buy a special book to cover the grammar for the English paper? No, your basic text you had probably read on your 10th boards or 12th boards will be helpful in doing that, because as you can see, these are the things which you have already studied in your life. Right. So what I did was I had a book of Wren and Martin, which was a very I went through it, and that was the only grammar book that I had actually went through. And again, apart from that book, yes, you can go through English newspapers and English news channels. Why we are saying that? Because it subconsciously, improves your vocabulary. You start knowing new words, start how a good sentence would be. So for things such as correct sentences and jumbled up sentences, you tend to have an intuition. It happens with me. I don't follow regular, formulas for the grammar. So I read it out. I feel an intuition that okay, this is going to be the correct answer. How I go about it. So it is always advisable that you actually go through the newspapers, and even for that matter, if you go through, if you watch English series or a movie, it can also be helpful some in your vocabulary. Now, again, having said that, only knowing new words will not be of help until and unless you actually put them into practice. So try make a habit of actually using those words in your answers or in an article that you write, or if you are in the habit of maintaining a daily diary, then you can probably journal it. And again, another important thing is please go through the previous year question papers for English. There is a high possibility that some of the questions might get repeated, and so there should not be a situation where there'll be a high chance that everybody else would be knowing this. So that is it about the English language. We move on to the Assamese paper.
So for the Assamese paper, like the English, as Pranami have already stated, you will be asked to write a Rosana or essay on any current topic or any topic. This is for the mains examination. But for the prelims and the mains paper both, there will be synonyms, antonyms, translations, word meaning, jotwathas, correct sentences, or pick the correct phrase, etc. These are normally asked, and you will be also asked like to make sentences from the phrases one word substitute, Sandhi, Shobdor, Lingor, Poriborton. These are based on the pattern of questions asked in previous years. So it might change, but whatever we have got in the previous year's question papers, we have shared with you. Now the question arises that how do you prepare for this subject? Now, as Pranami have already said that like in English, there is no set syllabus that you can cover. So first of all, I would suggest you to grab an Assamese grammar book, which you have already studied during your 10 boards. Any grammar book will do. So I won't suggest any specific name. Besides reading grammar book, you should also make a habit of reading Assamese newspapers. Any newspaper you will do. Now, I am not sure whether I should suggest you to watch Assamese news channel, but yes, reading newspapers improve your vocabulary to a great extent, and it turns out to be an advantage while picking correct sentences, solving word meaning, and writing your essay. Now, I would like to share my experiences that I do not know about you, but in my case, I was quite slow in writing in Assamese language because after matriculation, occasion did not arise more often to write in Assamese. Therefore, if you are not in a habit of writing in Assamese more often, then start practicing to write in Assamese. It will not only help you to consume less time in examination, and but you also be able to complete your paper within time frame. Now, another question arises that why do you need to learn the official language that is Assamese? Because once you become a judge, then you need to record the evidence or record the statement of the witnesses in local language which the witness understands. So for this very reason, Assamese is very important. So if you not have any practice in Assamese, then you go grab up the suggestions which you have given, and you should start practicing Assamese. And regarding the importance of previous year question papers, Pranami has already told you the importance, and therefore I'm not going to repeat the same. Thank you.
Okay, so we finally come down to the law paper. So how do you prepare for your law 6? So first, we both are of the belief that you should have preparation after your third year or in your second semester. This is again because once you are almost eligible for the exam. So we suggest that you start preparation after your third year semester. Also because to that time, the procedural law subjects are not introduced to you. So you might feel a little clueless about what is going on in those subjects. But of course, if you have a special help to that regard, then of course you can start it even early. Now again, those who have already cleared that stage, it doesn't mean that it's too late. It is never too late to start with your preparation. But what we are saying is an ideal situation where you should prepare from your third year once you have those subjects in your syllabus. So you start preparing it along with your course. So you do it for judiciary as well, and you do it for your semester exams also. Now, again, how do you prepare the 8 subjects? So first thing to do is just chalk out the syllabus that you have for all the subjects. Now, when you have the broad outline of the syllabus, you can just put it in a chart or make a diagram or make bullet points of the broad topics in it. The index of that particular subject will help you in that. And so how it helps is that finally when you're revising for your paper, you are sure not to skip over any point, and of course there'll be no point uncovered for you, and it'll be easier for you that way. Now also you should like for example, if you have this contract paper, so all the chapters that are there in the contract, all the topics that have previously come in the paper, so make a point, make a list of those points, and then when you start revising contract, just look into that list and whether you know all of the topics there. So that actually helps. Now again, we stressed over and over again about the previous year question papers. Where do you get them? You go to the Guwahati High Court website, go into the recruitment section, and there you get all the question papers. It's available there. You can download, practice it, and so these are very helpful. Now again, another topic is what to study. You might be wondering what books to study, what books do I purchase to prepare for my judiciary examination. The thing is, for MCQs, probably you might buy a book just to practice those MCQs, but for the other subjects, for the concepts, your basic textbooks are the best for you, and that is what we have followed. So any good, however, the textbook you follow has to be a decent one. You can also take help of the professors which you have for that respective subject. Would advise a very good textbook. You can follow those textbooks and then prepare the notes from those textbooks. You do not need a specialized book on judiciary to prepare for it. That is absolutely not required. Now again, there is a very much importance of barracks, and nowadays you can actually get mobile apps where you have the barracks. Now the barracks are important not only because of the provisions, illustrations and explanations are equally important, because there are questions which come directly from the illustration or directly from the explanation. So keep your barracks handy. Even in your leisure time or in the afternoon while you're listening to music, just go through your barrack, keep on going through your barrack, and it is always handy if you have it in a mobile app. But again, for someone like me who is an old school, I always like it when it is in pen and paper. I like to write the gist of the particular section in the margin of the barrack, or probably put a sticky note on the top, write the gist of that particular page. And so whatever is actually whatever suits your style of studying, you should go for it. But remember, barracks are very important for you. For all the subjects that you have, please go through the barracks and go through it again and again. Over to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Pranami. Now, whenever the question of preparation of judicial services comes, then most of the students tend to approach guidebooks and start solving multiple choice questions. Now, if you ask me whether you should continue, then I would suggest you not to do the same. Well, I have reason behind the answer. Well, look, these are not the subjects alien to you. These are the subjects which you have already studied. So you need to cover the same syllabus which you have studied for 3 years LLB or 5 years LLB. Now, according to me, this judicial services examination syllabus is merely a revision of what you have already studied and graduated. Now, I would say that there is vast difference in the questions asked in your LLB examination and judicial services examination. They will ask you questions within that syllabus itself. Now, it is the manner in which you write your answers in LLB and judicial services examination which makes the difference. Now, Pranami had already told you the ingredients which your answer should contain. Now, regarding the syllabus, I won't say that the syllabus is simple. No doubt it is a vast and you need to cover many topics, especially those 8 low subjects. To remember everything, according to me, it is not an easy task. So what you can do, what is the option available with you? So I would suggest, in fact, we would suggest for a smart study, then studying each and everything in detail. Now, in my case, what I have done there, I have made list of possible topics from all the subjects. Now, when I say to make list of topics, I am not suggesting you to pick and choose the topic and study. This is because in examination, you cannot guess what will be asked. So it is better to study everything, but out of that, out of your experience, you can make out that what are those important topics of law which are normally asked in every competitive examination. Therefore, you should target those topics, start making short notes, and notes should contain all the relevant points. Your notes should stretch up to 1 to 1.5 pages, depending upon your handwriting. Now, what is the importance of making notes? The next question arises. Now, I know that most of the students, including me, I did not have the habit of making notes during LLB. But later on, I realized that I committed the mistake. Because in judiciary, you can't take risk while preparing for it. Because if you have notes, then covering major topics, then it will not only help in minimizing the time in the examination hall, but you will also be able to produce a well-structured answer covering all the relevant points. Now, next question arises. Most of the aspiring students often ask us that whether case laws are important or not. Now, if you can remember case law, then it is well and good. You write it, you will get extra marks. But if you cannot remember case law, or if you can without citation, if you can remember only the case law without the citation, then I would suggest you that please do not attempt to write it, because it will create a negative impression in front of the examiner. Now, another habit we all have, including me, that we often tend to mug up, or we often try to by heart our answer. I would suggest you not to do it, because that tricks usually work during your LLB examination, because you need to appear maximum 1 to 2 subjects on a given day. But as I have already told you that in mains examination, you need to appear for 8 law subjects on a single day. So it's better to clear your concepts. And how can you clear your concepts? You can clear your concepts only by going through textbooks. When you study any topic, try to relate those topics to a practical situation. So for instance, if I say criminal procedure code or code of criminal procedure, you will get many topics and you will find quite boring to study all these topics. But when I have reached this position, I found that CRPC is nothing but a journey from first information report till judgment. Now, if you study CRPC the way it is given in your text, then it will be quite difficult to pick up the concepts, because it is not given in a chronological manner. For example, the chapter of FIR should have been the first chapter, because it sets the criminal law in motion. But if you go through the CRPC, then you will find that it is given in chapter 12. So try to relate it with yourself. It is not only about CRPC, it is about Constitution or CPC, Indian Contract Act. Everything you need to connect with yourself. It is everything about your rights. Another important question often arises when I was also a student. I also, it normally arises in my mind that whether I should go through the guidebooks. Look, everyone has got their own strategy to clear a concept. Once you have thorough knowledge about the subject, then you will be able to solve any question which is asked in your examination. So once you are thorough in your textbook, then it should be followed by the multiple choice questions. Now, why guidebooks and multiple choice questions are important? It will give you an idea as to how the manner in which a questions can be asked in an examination. But again, I would suggest you do not rely entirely upon the guidebooks, because as the name itself suggests, it will only guide you. It does not guarantee you that you will clear your examination. Therefore, the burden is always upon you. I would also suggest to start solving MCQs because it is a good exercise to test your position as to how prepared you are for your examination. But also I would like to advise you that do not give anything till the last moment. Give yourself enough time for revision prior to the examination, and also give yourself enough time for mock test. Regarding the mock interview, I do not know whether it is possible for one who go for preparation by self-study. Yes, if you have taken any coaching, then those coaching institutes do facilitate the mock interviews. It will give the candidates the confidence to face the interview board. So I do prefer mock interviews. But regarding mock test, it is possible for any students. Because you need certain test series. Grab your test series and be true to yourself and start solving those questions within time stipulated. By doing this, you will be able to cultivate the habit of writing, and during examination you won't forget any point, you won't miss any points. Last thing which I would like to say, the importance of coaching, whether you should take coaching or not. Now, I am of the opinion that if you are not disciplined enough, then you can go for coaching, because in coaching centers, they are quite structured in how they will prepare you for the examination. But it is not a prerequisite that without coaching, you can't clear the exam. Both Pranami and myself never joined a coaching institute, and we have cleared this exam. In fact, many of my colleagues cleared the exam along with their post-study for their masters, and without their masters also they have cleared the exam without coaching. So we believe that what you need is little bit of discipline and planning, and if you have both these qualities, then it is sufficient to clear this exam. So with our limited knowledge, we have tried to cover everything possible. Thank you everyone for your patient listening.
Everyone, we just hope we didn't intimidate you and we actually tried guiding you. So should I stop sharing the screen?
You're done with your presentations?
Yeah, we are done.
Okay, fine. So you can stop sharing now. Okay, now. So I've already requested the participants to, I think questions are already starting to come up. I think you all can see also Sandeep and Pranami.
Yes.
Yeah, someone has asked that, would you like to share your personal experience about your training sessions in concern Judicial Academy? That's the first question that has come. So anything to say on that, personal experience about training in Judicial Academy?
Sandeep, would you like
regarding the... Okay, you want to answer?
No, you can proceed.
Well, after you clear the judicial services examination, then you need to go through 1-year training program. It is known as pre-appointment training. So in that period, you need to you are given all those trainings which is required from you as a judge. First of all, there are theoretical trainings and there are also practical training. For first 2 months, there will be training at your academy. Then again 3 months, you will be attached to a judge of your place of choice. Since I was from Dibrugarh, for the first 3 months, I was attached to a judge to various courts at Dibrugarh. Then again, I came back to academy for 2 months, and again there is 3 months training at Guwahati. So it is like it is divided to 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. So once you have completed your training, you will be you need to go through one examination, and they will ask you questions on civil procedure code and criminal procedure code, and also on Assamese. And there is also Viva taken on Assamese. So this is the entire procedure, and the subjects which are taken during those sessions are everything related to law, and even besides the law subjects which we have discussed now, there are other acts, every act they discuss, Specific Relief Act, Domestic Violence Act, every possible act which we will come across as a judge.
Okay, so just to add on to it, the best part about Assam judiciary is they do not expect you to know writing judgments, how to write a judgment, how to write an order when you appear for the exam, which is the case for other states. But here we are actually just asked basic theoretical questions in the entrance, and then when you get into the academy, it is there that they train us how to write orders and how to write judgments. So that, I believe, is the best thing, that we are actually groomed when we are in academy, and we are groomed for all situations. We have a lot of problems. We have time limit to write an order, think about it. We get problems to go home and work upon. So it is a very hectic schedule, but it is fun doing it.
Okay, now one student, Shreya Chetri, has raised her hand. I'll ask her to please unmute your mic and ask the question to the speaker. Shreya, am I audible to you? If you want to ask a question, you will have to unmute and then ask the question. Okay, now then I'll move to the second one. There are a lot of questions actually. Someone is asking, is there any tips for making CPC easy? Any tips about how to study CPC? CPC seems to be very tough.
Okay, so again, the same thing applies. I would suggest, since I'm working on the civil side right now, so I would probably take the first instance to answer this. So again, it is the same thing. It is the same procedure. Get hold of the previous year question papers. Try to find out some of the common questions that from CPC. And then first of all, make notes. We are stressed on that point because it makes a lot easier. The preparation becomes a lot easier when you actually prepare notes. So it helps when you have certain questions in hand rather than going the entire studying the book from the start to the end. When you have actually questions, basic questions that can be answered, and you start writing answers, you feel very confident about yourself. And then just try and stick to the questions which have come up earlier in the exams. Make sure you know them well, and then again it will come to you that you remain questions your own for the other topics. So I guess making notes is the best way for preparing CPC, and for that matter any other subject.
Okay, there's another question. The question is that for mains examination subjects like IPC, evidence and transfer of property, etc., if questions will ask for 5 to 6 marks, then will it be helpful if we write that answer with an example like illustrations?
Yes, it will be good. If you write an illustration, then it will help you to fetch even more marks. Right? You may get 5 out of 5 or 6 out of 6. But what my idea is that don't write very long answer, even if you know the answer to the fullest. So write what is asked, include the important points, and I'm sure the examiner will give you the maximum amount of marks. So clear your concept, include the important points. Always stick to what the question is asked. Don't write anything which is beyond what has been asked to you. So stick to what is asked to it, and also fulfill the demand of the question. This is what I feel.
Yes, somebody has asked, he has passed his LLB in 2014. Is it too late to appear for the exam? I think that has already been addressed during the presentation. Yeah, so like if you are general category, then it's 38. Otherwise, for reserve category, it is 43.
Yes.
So accordingly, I think you'll able to calculate. There is any gap between paper 1 and 2? Are there any gaps between paper 1 and 2?
Yes, there are gaps. Let's see, it every time it depends. Now, in our case, the advertisement came out in the year 2013, and I have joined service as a judicial magistrate at Guwahati in the year 2016. So the entire recruitment process took three years. The preliminary examination result came out in the month of October, and I have appeared for the mains in the month of February the next year. But it is not similar for every year. It might keep changing depending upon the results which the recruitment branch takes.
I guess they're asking about law paper 1 and law paper 2. Is there any gap? Yes, there's a gap. There will be a break time that you'll get if you're asking that.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously there will be break time. Like one paper is from 9 to 12, 1 hour break, and there will be from 1 to 4. Then you will need to appear for the second
Yeah,
round.
definitely.
Covered.
So then someone is in his second semester LLB. So he's asking, shall I prepare for current affairs and shall I go through the newspaper thoroughly for GK from now onwards? I think it would be better if he starts early,
Yes.
as
Better
early as
to start.
possible. So
I think he got our presentation very well. That's why he started. He want to start in March. That's very good.
any suggestions on for preparation of GK? Like books or something, how he should one prepare for the GK paper? Anything on that?
GK, actually, we did not cover GK because GK is all about your luck. If there's a question that you know about, then it would click. Then again, I saw somebody mentioning Pratyogita Darpan. Yes, I did go through Pratyogita Darpan, but then I cannot actually name a particular book because I cannot say that although I did go through Pratyogita Darpan, but that questions did come from there. I cannot say that because there are random questions in GK. GK is all about your luck. So you can just go about current affairs. You can be very well versed with the current affairs. So that would help.
Is there any other test left before joining the service after Viva? After clearing the Viva? I think there is.
Any other test left?
Before you join in the service means written Viva, or is there any other component, or is just the two only? That is, I think that is what she is asking, Shreya.
There is no test left actually before joining the service. What we had earlier was a pre-appointment training, and then we were asked to appear for an exam and then go for the appointment. But now they have done away with it. So now it's like when you clear your Viva, that is the last exam that you're going to give, and then you get direct appointment. So no exam as such after you clear your Viva.
Somebody is asking, it is difficult for us to read GK, so any tips how one can inculcate the habit of reading GK every day? So I think if you take a newspaper, English as well as an Assamese daily, and you read it on a daily basis and mark the important events, as well as you have to go through the news channels through the electronic media as well, and you start preparing a sort of diary thing, and you start writing down important things. I think that way it will help to some extent in the preparation of the GK paper, because there is no, as the speaker has already said, there is no straight jacket kind of formula that you will do this and you will get through the GK paper. So GK is all about luck. But the thing is that you will have to keep note of important events that has happened at least for the last 5 years or something like that.
1 year.
Yeah, last 1 year. Okay, so that is one tip that has been given. So at least for the last 1 year, or if possible, make it 2 years if you can. There's no harm in that. So as much as you can, try to make a note of every important event that has happened in the last 1 year before you go into your exams.
And sir, I would like to add, in GK, what you can do is that you can also study category-wise, like politics, then sports, then historical events. So if you categorize yourself, and if you start studying, or if you try to take note of all the current events relating to different categories, politics, history, sports, like Olympics, then national games. So in that, you will be able to chalk out the questions. You need to try to create your interest. You need to know what is going around you. You can't force yourself to have general knowledge. It must come within yourself, that what is happening around you, you should know.
And I think as the speakers have already suggested, you should go through the previous year's question papers. So if you go to the previous year's question, you get an idea about what kind of questions are being asked in the GK. So accordingly, you can prepare. As he has already said, Sandeep has already said, you can make subsections like, sports, politics, like that. So you make those subsections and accordingly you prepare your notes. So is English language necessary for Viva? Yeah, that is another question. Means communicating in English, is it necessary during the Viva? I think that what has been asked. So there are students who may find it difficult to communicate in English. So is there anything like, is it compulsory or like, what is this the position?
We cannot say if it is a compulsory thing because we have never actually encountered such a situation. But then again, yes, the questions are actually asked in English. So we did answer in English. But again, if you're not comfortable with it, I guess it is not a very big hindrance to getting into it.
I think if suppose during the interview, one of the judges, if they ask if you are comfortable with English or Hindi, I think there is no harm in answering that I am comfortable in English or Assamese.
Because it is all about communication. How you want to convey your message to the other person. It is everything. Since they have asked in English, that's what we have replied. We can't take it for granted that you need to reply in English because because you need to convey your message. That is the main idea behind the Viva. And you can express yourself in any language, provided the honorable judges must know those languages.
That's correct. Okay, fine. So like, I think we don't have any more questions. If somebody wants to, I think I have already increased the time limit. Seeing I think I've increased the time limit to 9:15 actually. So we have another almost 45 minutes. So there is no harm. Like if somebody wants to ask questions, you can see, I think, Sandeep, is English.
Yes, sir. Bhargav asked one question that what is often asked during our training sessions. I want to add that they also ask us to give practical questions like spot exercise. For example, if an accused is produced before you as a magistrate, so what are the orders you are supposed to pass? So what are the things you need to include in your order? Like an accused is produced before you, first of all, we need to write in order that whether this accused, whether the family members of the accused are aware about his arrest. First question. First thing we need to write in order. Next, we need to write in an order that whether he has been provided with any legal counsel. If he is not provided with any legal counsel, then we need to provide one from the legal help. Then we need to justify whether the grounds of arrest are justified. Then we have to give reasons whether we need to remand the accused to judicial custody. So these are the things should be included in an order. These things are taught in the academy. So such type of activities are given. So we are given practical questions and we need to, on the base of the reasoning, and we need to see the relevant law provisions and we need to pass orders. It is because judiciary or being a judge, everything about writing orders with reasons. So they help us to develop this habit of writing orders and also judgment. They give us FIR, they give us any practical situation, evidence, and we are required to pass judgments on those topics or on the facts which are given.
Also, we have moot courts. In normal moot court, what happens is in colleges, we become the advocates and we actually argue the case. But in the academy, what happens is our teachers become the advocates and they become the parties, and we are made the judges. And so we are given practical cases. They bring in the real cases from the different courts, and we are given those cases and we decide the actual cases. They are not like made up cases. So it helps.
Okay, so any more questions? One student again, Shreya, I think you have again raised your hand. If you want to ask questions, kindly unmute your mic and ask the question. She's
One
not.
question, Galaxy J7 Max to everyone. He asked that how different is the position of a grade 1 judicial service officer from that of a civil servant or bureaucrat? Well, see, basic difference is that the grade 1 judicial officer will be doing his service on the judicial side, and the civil servant will do on the executive side. So everything is different regarding the position. One will be discharging his judicial duties, and another will be discharging his executive duties relating to administration. So in short, this is what I can find out the basic difference between a grade 1 judicial officer or that of a civil servant.
Because
would you like to add?
I think we already done. How many hours do you work in a day for AJS, and how do you feel for that?
How many hours?
We
Well,
work
there is no
24/7.
fixed time for studying. If you feel like studying, then you may study. It is all about discipline. If you study for 1 hour, that will be good for you. In some cases, it may happen that if you study for 10 hours, then nothing will goes to your head. So it's all about discipline. You need to be systematic in your approach. I think this will do.
And one more student, Priyanka Count. Do you like to ask any questions? If you yes, then please unmute your mic and ask the question.
Harshit Pran has asked what are the promotional aspects in judicial service. Well, there are 3 grades in judicial services: grade 3, grade 2, and grade 1. From grade 3 to grade 1, it takes considerable amount of time. First of all, you will get promotion from grade 3 to grade 2. It will take around 5 to 6 years, depending upon your previous batch. If your previous batch is the number is high, then it will take time, and it also depends upon the vacancy in your state. So if the vacancy is more, then you will jump to the higher position on a fast pace. And from grade 3 to grade 1, it is all about seniority come merit. And from grade 2 to grade 1, it is about merit come seniority. So promotional aspect is good. And regarding on the basis of performance, yes, we have annual confidential report. For every year, we need to submit how many cases we have disposed on the civil side or criminal side, and we have point system. For every disposal, we get points. So at the end of it, it is submitted to our honorable district judge, and then it is submitted to portfolio judge, and then they give us rating on very good, good, inadequate, poor. So if you are on the very good side, then obviously your promotional aspects are high. And if you are on the lower side, then obviously you know the answer. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, can you share your time?
Another. When Monica has asked one question, is 10th sem student are able to appear judiciary examination? Well,
no, I think no, they will have to.
Well, I don't think so, because you need to clear your examination, LLB.
You will have to have your marks at least.
That is the basic criteria. You need to have law degree. In most of the cases, in my colleagues also, it happened that even they appeared for the exam, but by the time they want to appear for the mains or prelims, when they High Court ask you whether you have the required qualification, they are not able to show it. So that's the problem. So it's better to get your degree and then you give exam as much as possible. So don't just jump to exam without having any degree, even though you know that you will get degree one day.
And how to prepare for IPC?
How to prepare for IPC? sections in the judicial exam.
Hmm.
Again, it is the same thing. I guess the barrack should be handy again, but for every other topic, again, as I had already stated, just divide your topics by contents into bullet points, and then again make notes, and don't think about the section numbers. Don't just try remembering section numbers. It should be the concepts that you should be more concerned about. So apart from the MCQs that might come up, it is the concept that you should be actually stressing upon. And so IPC, it is, I would say rather it is easier because there are like there are very prominent topics and chapters. So you can just divide them and just prepare a gist of all of, so that in any question comes, you can just pick up points from your notes and then frame it accordingly.
So for IPC, what I would like to add is that see, IPC is all about punishment. So you understand it in a simple way. It is everything about punishment and how the offense constitutes. Just think about it, how the offense constitutes. For example, theft. When we say about theft, don't just go that it is included in section 379 of the Indian Penal Code. So just remember that what are the ingredients which constitutes theft. And in order to understand the constituents, the dishonest intention, then moving the property, and so on and so forth, you need to go through the illustrations. Once you go through the illustration, then you will understand the concept. And there are, in certain questions, I have seen that ask the differences between theft and extortion, theft and robbery. So these questions are often asked. So how will you know the differences? Or you will know the difference only if you understand the concepts clearly. So in order to understand the concept, go through the illustrations. It will be very easy for you. It is only 511 sections which you need to memorize, or you need to understand the concepts.
And there are two questions on the same line, I guess. How to divide the timetable along with your semester subjects, and how shall we divide the time for preparation? It's almost like the same thing, so dividing the time for preparation, I guess. That's a basic point he's trying to make. How to divide? How to divide?
If I just start off with it, how to divide the timetable along with your semester subjects. So just remember that you should not be very stressed out about the subjects that you have. Just like you prepare it for your semester subjects, you simultaneously you start preparing. Now, that first thing that you want to do is over a weekend probably, you can just get hold of the syllabus for all the subjects, download all the question papers, and then the same questions which you will actually prepare for judiciary will also be helpful in your semester exams. So you cannot just divide your time like exactly many hours as semester exams, or these many hours I'll study for judiciary. Make it happen, make it happen together. And I would say when you're actually preparing for your judiciary exam, the same answer will be helpful in your semester exams as well. So anything that suits you, there cannot be a formula that somebody else will give you.
Any more questions?
Within the main exam and the Viva.
Regarding the between mains examination and Viva, well, there is no strict time schedule that after 2 months or 1 month your Viva will be conducted. It depends entirely upon the recruitment branch. So if all the question papers are checked on time, then your Viva will be conducted within a shortest possible time, and it may take ages also. So there is no fixed time between the mains examination and Viva. Because in my case, I appeared for mains examination in the month of February, and the result for mains examination was given in the month of May, and I appeared for the Viva in the month of July. And our recruitment process completed in the month of November, and I started my training on November 12, 2014. So it takes around 3 years. And even in fact, Pranami also, I think it is same, because your advertisement was started in the year 2014 and you have completed 2017 September.
So in our case, what happened was the advertisement came out in 2012, in December 2012, and then the exam was the prelims examination. Sorry, it came out in 2014, December 2014, and the examination, the prelims examination actually in the month of September in the next year. So, but then there was not much gap between the mains and the Viva. The mains took place in December and the Viva took place in February. So it was very close, but the prelims did take a lot of time. Which one would we prefer, coaching or self-study? Since we did not go for coaching, we actually did it by self. So we would actually, I would say for myself, I would go for self-study.
Okay. So I think
ample time to actually.
Yeah, I think we are coming. Yeah, already it's 8:45. So
Pranami, would you like to answer this question? Any book suggestion for antonyms and synonyms?
So I wouldn't suggest any particular book. I wouldn't suggest any particular book for that. Any particular book for antonyms and synonyms. Any basic grammar book, again, as I stated. But then again, you should be actually solving the questions that had already come. It might be a case where you won't find the answer in your particular grammar book. Go through the net, at least find the answers for the questions which had already come. But then there is no fixed book that we can actually suggest for the grammar or for antonyms and synonyms in particular.
Okay. Here I would like to add for, I think, constitution part, there is one book called Workbook on Constitution. It's written by Dr. D.D. Basu. If those who are preparing for, I know, for the judicial exams and for any other competitive exam, this particular book is very good. Workbook on the Constitution by D.D. Basu, that you can take for your constitution subject. So I guess we are coming to an end of today's. Questions are keep coming actually, because we can assume that this is a very important subject, very important thing. Which one? Sir, can you repeat the book name? I will type it in the chat box. I think it's already there. Workbook on Constitution by D.D. Basu. It's published by, I think, LexisNexis. You can go through that book for Constitution. So I think that would be all for today, because I know there's a very huge subject and a huge topic. It's not possible to, end it within certain short period of time, because there are a lot of questions in everybody's mind. Everybody wants to be a judicial officer once he joins the law colleges and law schools. So thank you very much. I would like to thank the speakers for today's. I think I have made a very good decision by selecting two of you, that is Sandeep Kashyap Das and Pranami Datta, for today's sessions. And you have made a splendid and wonderful presentation. I think most of the answers or queries that a person has, a student has, especially a law student, when he thinks about how to prepare about the judicial exams, all those questions I think had been totally answered. So there should not be any doubts about that. And with respect to the subjects and other things are concerned, I think it's not possible, as I have already mentioned. If you are, suppose, like CRPC, Constitution, there should be a whole one complete session on that particular one subject only. Yes. So maybe in future, I don't know if possible, then we shall try to organize subject-wise sessions for preparation, wherein in one session we'll only answer CRPC, or say in one we only answer about Constitution. Like that we can do. So thank you to both the speakers, and thank you all the participants also for for being with us for so long, because it's already almost 9 now. So yeah.
at 7:20.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
sure.
actually started.
I would like to thank Deepam sir specially for having us, for giving us the opportunity, and also to all the participants and all the participants who have beared with us for patient listening and for asking us these valuable questions. I hope that we are able to reply them in a proper way.
And I think we all, especially me and the speakers, we all three of us, we hope that some of the participants we in future we see as judicial officers. I'll be keeping a track of all the participants here. So in future, if I
Then
see,
they will become speakers, sir. Then they will become speakers and will reply to
yeah,
the questions.
definitely, very sure. So so that's it, I guess. Like I just would like to take one photo before I wind up this session. I'll have to just a minute. I'll take print gallery view of this screen and I'll need to take a photo for all of you. Show small speaker, thumbnail. I think it's already done.
Okay, so then from my side as well, all the best to all the candidates here. And I wish that all of you, in fact, all of you clear it.
Definitely. So that's it. Okay. I think everyone can now log out from the sessions. I will end the meeting now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a great time.